everyone, welcome to Pour Painting with Ron. In today's video we're going to be doing another bloom painting. I really love doing these and I just got some brand new paints from overseas that I'd like to try out today. But anyway, today I'm going to be doing the bloom pour on this 40 centimeter by 40 centimeter thin edge canvas. And just as usual, I've made it nice and tight. And I've taped off the back with painter's tape and used some giant push pins to keep the canvas off the surface of the table. Now, I'm not going to go through the entire recipe for the bloom painting again in detail, but I will run through it really quickly. The bottom layer, the pillow paint layer, is just a low sheen white acrylic water-based house paint. So the brand I'm using is just British Paints. So that's for the pillow. And then for the pouring medium that I mix the colours into, I use an untinted house paint. So this is British Paints again. It's a low sheen wall paint, acrylic water-based paint. And what you need to look for is down at the bottom somewhere it will say something like untinted. So this is untinted and I'm using the extra bright. Some people use a deep base. That works fine too, apparently. So you need some of that, and I'm using some polyurethane varnish, non-yellowing. This is Jo Sonja's gloss varnish. So to make the pouring medium, you need 3 parts of your your untinted paint to 2 parts of the varnish. And then you mix your pouring medium, 2 parts pouring medium to 1 part of the paint. Clear as mud? I'll put a link to 2 more videos at the end of this one that goes into much more detail with the recipe if you'd like to know more. But anyway, the colours that I'm using today are mostly Jo Sonja's paints. I got some brand new metallics and I'd like to give them a go today. See what happens. So I've got some nice silver and I've got burnished copper and I've got rich gold. Now I've usually used as my cell activator Amsterdam titanium white, but amongst my new batch of paints I got some of their, their oxide black oxide. So I've mixed that up, 1 part black oxide to 3 parts Floetrol as my cell activator today. So hopefully that will look really nice. I haven't tried black before. We'll see what happens. So let's get started. Righto, so got my canvas ready. Now with the colours, the cell activator I've just put in a big squeeze bottle. You don't use a lot. And you can make up 1 batch, just give it a shake before you do another painting and you're ready to go again. The same with the colours. I've mixed them up and put them into these squeeze bottles and I've labelled them to remind me which is which. You don't use a lot, so I tend to make up a lot of colour at once and then I'm right for a couple of paintings. They keep really well. Okay, now the first step is to cover your canvas with some of the pillow paint. So I'll do that first. Oh, it's a new can, so it's very full. So I'll put a bit on first and I'll spread it out and then I'll put a bit more on to do the painting. It's crazy how much paint you use for these. Well, I'll just spread it out. And I'll cover the sides as well. Just so the paint slides really well once I put it on the spinner. Now I've tried the blowing technique, but it hasn't really worked for me yet. I find the swiping and then spinning is much easier. Well, it works better for me anyway. So that's what we're going to be doing today. bit like decorating a cake. Now it doesn't have to be too, excuse me, too flat. It'll smooth itself out once you put it on the spinner. Now for the spinner, I just bought a plastic banding wheel from my local art shop. A cake decorator or a Lazy Susan will work just as well, so long as they spin nice and freely. You don't have to spend a lot of money. I think I paid about, something stuck in my throat, paid about $17 for my spinner. And then to stop paint going everywhere, once you spin it out, you put it in a large cardboard box or a doggy swimming pool or a plastic blow-up children's swimming pool. I just bought an ultra cheap child's swimming pool from the toy shop. Again, I only paid about $17 for it because I do some largish canvases, so the doggy pool was a little bit small. But the doggy pool from Kmart wasn't much cheaper anyway, so you're probably better off going with a larger children's swimming pool. I've just got it in the garage. Fortunately, my boarder doesn't drive, so I've got a spare side in the garage. To paint on, we're coming into summer, bug season. The bugs are a problem. But when the painting's drying, I just put it underneath one of those large food insect covering things. I showed them to you in earlier videos. If you're just new to pour painting, well, I think of it, check out the first 4 videos on my channel. I've created a playlist of those, and I go through all the basics of setting up your workspace and how to prepare canvases and what you keep an eye out for when you're buying furniture and how to store paintings, all those things that you need to know when you're just starting out with paint pouring or pour painting, whichever way you like to call it. Okay, I think we're covered. Now, I need to aim for the middle for my yellow. I think that's the middle. May not look like the middle to you because of the way that the camera works. But if you don't have enough on here, your paint's not going to go to the edges. When you spin it out, it'll get stuck. Right, I think that'll do. Sometimes I use too much. A bit much there. I think we're more or less in the middle. Yeah, little buggy things. They like paint. Now I'll give it a bit of a torch to burst air bubbles. I'm going to start off with my darkest colour. I'm just going to do a drizzle one. And I'll create a square in the middle. Again, try to find the middle here. And I'm about the same distance from the ends, maybe a bit further this way. A bit further this way. Okay, and I'll just do drizzle in the middle like so. I'm going to create sort of like a pebbly sort of look. Well, that's the plan anyway. The copper, and then I'll do the gold. do the silver. Just drizzling it on like so. Yep, I think that's plenty of colour. Now, in the past, I've just put my cell activator on with my palette knife and dragged it out. I might try something different today and try a playing card and see how that works. Where did I put them, if I can find them? Can I find my playing cards? No. Oh yeah, here we go. Let's drag out a couple. The playing cards, and I'll put my cell activator on this wall scraper, and then I'll dip the card in, and then I can drag it across my painting. We'll see how that works today. Now, cell activator is really thin. As I said, 1 part paint to 3 parts Floetrol. It needs to be the thinnest of all of your layers. So I'll put a little bit on. Now I'll use the thin one or maybe the thick edge. So I'll just dab in the edge, make sure there's a good covering. And then I'll drag it out like so. And as you can see, we've got the lovely cells forming, a lovely lacing happening already. Again, I'll start in about the middle. You don't want to press hard. You just want to drag your paint across the surface. If your card gets a bit grotty, then just get a new one. Up the middle, like so. Turn it around. Again, I'll just start a little about here. Not too fussed about the edges, since you spin most of that off anyway. Need a bit more cell activator. Just thinking about whether I will wreck it or not to create some interest. Okay. More cell activator. I'll just use the thin edge this time. I might start here. Oop. Now, it usually doesn't look like much before you start spinning, But the magic will happen once you start spinning, hopefully. Almost there. Now, not that much cell or lacing effect happening there. Okay, cool. Let's put that aside. Now, will I wreck it a little bit? Always looks a bit interesting when you run a wire or something through it. Let me see what I've got here. I did have some wire lying around. A wire or nail will work. Oh, here we go. A little kebab stick. I think that's what you call it. Little skewer thingy anyway. Now, let me see. I'll start here. And I'll just do some wiggly things like that. A bit like spider legs. I like the effect that gives. All right. Now, before you spin, you do need to let it sit for a while to let your lacing develop. So while it's doing that, I'll just go and wash up a couple of these tools and then we'll be back to spin it out. And hopefully we'll get something beautiful. I'll be back soon. Righto, I'm back. As you can see, the lacing has developed very nicely. I think these Jo Sonja's colours are just beautiful. Now, I need to move the camera. I've got my doggy pool set up on the floor. If you haven't seen it before, you'll see it in a second. So here we are at my high-tech spinning wheel pool thing. This baby pool, this children's pool is really very good because I can fit quite large canvases on this thing. Now some of my canvases are quite thick, so I've just turned a bucket upside down underneath to keep my banding wheel further away from the surface. And I've lined the pool with some old plastic that I had just to catch the paint that flings off. And it's good for lots and lots and lots of paintings. Now to keep everything together, I've just used some double-sided tape to attach this board to the top of my spinning wheel. I use the board because it's good for bigger canvases. It keeps the canvas more level, I think, than just the little round circle of the banding wheel. And I've just got some tape here, painter's tape here, that I folded in half to secure the canvas. Now the trick is to put the canvas in the middle. You'll see how I do that in a second. So I'll just get my canvas and we'll see how it works out. Now, here we go. Excuse my lovely footwear. Now I'll just put it. Oh, that's right. It's a smaller wheel, a smaller canvas. Okay. This will be a bit tricky. Hope it doesn't fly off. I'll give it a little test spin. See if we're in the middle. I'll just keep my eye on the middle. I do need to move it this way a bit, I think. Oh no. Bit that way. I think we're more or less right there. Just keep your eye on where you want the middle to be. As you spin it, you can see if it stays still, then you've found the middle. Now, I hope I don't lose my canvas. Looking interesting. A bit more that way. Might move it that way a bit. It's a bit like magic. And keep spinning until you're happy with how it looks. I have to keep going until this corner is covered. Almost there. Paint flinging everywhere. Almost at that corner. Almost. Yes, I just have to keep going until that corner's covered. If I'm desperate, I can tilt it, but I'd rather not. I'd rather not tilt it. It does look lovely. Will I tilt that corner? Help it along a bit. was that corner? Oh yeah, that works now, I think. I think we're good. Now this painting is very, very drippy. But I think it turned out really nice. I do like the black in there to create the lacing. I'll lift it off there, put it back on the table and tidy up the edges with my palette knife, and then I'll bring you in for a closer look at how it turned out. Right, so here is the finished painting. Hopefully you can see it. I'm holding my camera above my head. I think it turned out really well. Just bring you in. Now the gold will be really shiny once it dries. Can't really see it now that the painting is wet, but it will look lovely. Didn't swipe much colour here, but I think there's a lot of silver around the edges of these cells here. That will look really, really nice. That's the middle. That's really beautiful. Looks a bit like a stained glass window, doesn't it? So what do you think? I think it turned out really nicely. I'd certainly like to experiment a little bit more with the black cell activator and different amounts of colour in different places on the canvas, and perhaps different ways of swiping the cell activator across the colours. Also, maybe if I can find some black house paint, wall paint, I'd like to give that a go as the pillow as well, if I want a really particularly dark painting with the colours popping and the black lacing. So maybe that'll be a video to come soon. Well, I hope I've inspired you to give this technique a go. Feel free to ask me any questions and I'll answer them as best as I can and as soon as I can. Now, as usual, if you like what you saw today, please press the like button. It helps my videos get found on YouTube. And if you'd like to see more of my videos, please take a moment to subscribe. So we'll see you next time, and in the meantime, happy painting.